Welcome to my channel. Today I will tell you about the Leper King. Who was the Leper King? Why he wore mask in his whole life, and why the people did not saw his face in their whole lives. Let's start the story. The real name of the Leper King was Baldwin IV of Jerusalem, who was one of tragedy, resilience, and heroism, set against the backdrop of the Crusades and the turbulent 12th century in the Holy Land. Baldwin IV was born in 1161 in the Kingdom of Jerusalem, a Crusader state founded by European Christians in the wake of the First Crusade. His father, Amalric I, was king of Jerusalem, and his mother, Agnes of Courtenay, was from a noble family of the region. Baldwin was part of the powerful House of Anjou, a lineage that had deep ties to European royalty and the Crusader states. The discovery of Baldwin's illness. From an early age, Baldwin was tutored by William of Tyre, a renowned historian and Archbishop of Tyre. William later wrote extensively about Baldwin's life and reign, providing much of what we know about the king today. During his childhood, it became apparent that Baldwin was suffering from an unusual medical condition. According to William of Tyre, Baldwin had once been playing with other boys when he was struck, but felt no pain in his right hand and arm. This numbness was the first indication that Baldwin had contracted leprosy, a feared and stigmatized disease at the time. Leprosy, caused by the bacterium Mycobacterium lepra, was misunderstood during the medieval period. It caused severe physical disfigurement, numbness, and a loss of sensation, which often led to injuries that wouldn't heal properly. Those who suffered from it were frequently shunned by society, seen as cursed or punished by God. Despite his diagnosis, Baldwin was never hidden away or cast out, as might have been expected in that era. His father and the court understood the political necessity of keeping Baldwin in line for the throne, as there were few other viable heirs. In 1174, when Baldwin was just 13 years old, his father, King Amalric I, died unexpectedly of dysentery. The young Baldwin was immediately thrust into the role of king, although due to his age and illness, his reign would require strong regents and advisors. His cousin, Raymond III of Tripoli, was appointed as regent until Baldwin came of age. Baldwin's early reign was overshadowed by the looming threat of the great Muslim leader Saladin, who had united the Muslim forces of Egypt and Syria. Saladin was determined to drive the Crusaders out of the Holy Land and reclaim Jerusalem for Islam. Despite his illness, Baldwin proved to be an exceptionally brave and capable king. Early in his reign, he took part in several military campaigns against Saladin's forces, often leading his troops into battle. One of Baldwin's most famous military victories came at the Battle of Montgisard in 1177, when Saladin's army launched a surprise invasion of the Kingdom of Jerusalem. The Muslim army was much larger and better equipped, and Baldwin's forces were vastly outnumbered. Baldwin, only 16 years old at the time, and already visibly affected by leprosy, led his army despite being physically weakened. In a miraculous turn of events, Baldwin's forces, bolstered by a small contingent of Templar knights, decisively defeated Saladin's army. The victory at Montgisard was seen as divine intervention, and Baldwin's reputation as a warrior king grew. He was carried into battle on horseback, and after the battle, legends say that Baldwin dismounted and prayed in gratitude to God. Though Baldwin had proven himself on the battlefield, his reign was marked by constant political instability. His health continued to decline, and the question of his succession became increasingly urgent. Baldwin's sister, Sibylla, was the next in line, but there were concerns about her suitability and the men she married. In 1180, Baldwin agreed to Sibylla's marriage to Guy of Lusignan, a French nobleman. However, Guy soon proved to be an ineffective and unpopular leader, particularly when it came to military matters. Baldwin's confidence in Guy quickly waned, and he sought to remove him from the line of succession. As his illness worsened, Baldwin faced enormous pressure to abdicate, but he resisted. He wanted to ensure a smooth transition of power, hoping to pass the throne to his young nephew, Baldwin V, instead of Guy. However, this decision sparked factional infighting among the Crusader nobility. By the early 1180s, Baldwin's leprosy had taken a severe toll on his body. He was nearly blind, his hands were disfigured, and his limbs were becoming useless. Yet, remarkably, Baldwin continued to rule, sometimes appearing in public and issuing decrees from his litter. a bed-like structure carried by his soldiers and attendants. Despite his physical limitations, Baldwin remained mentally sharp and engaged in the affairs of the kingdom. He worked to maintain alliances with the Byzantine Empire and the Italian city-states, hoping to secure support for Jerusalem against the growing power of Saladin. In 1183, Baldwin was forced to temporarily abdicate and name his nephew, Baldwin IV, as co-king. Yet, even after doing so, he remained involved in military and political matters. Baldwin's final years were spent dealing with the increasingly dire situation facing his kingdom. Saladin continued to build his forces, and the Crusader states were growing weaker due to internal strife and mismanagement. In 1184, Baldwin made a last attempt to secure European support, sending envoys to Europe to plead for help. Unfortunately, these efforts were largely in vain. By 1185, Baldwin's condition had deteriorated to the point where he could no longer effectively rule. He passed away later that year, likely in the spring, at the age of 24. His death marks the end of an era in Jerusalem. Baldwin V briefly succeeded him, but the kingdom quickly descended into chaos. Just 2 years after Baldwin's death, in 1187, Saladin dealt a devastating blow to the Crusader kingdom at the Battle of Hattin. The Crusader forces were nearly annihilated, and Saladin went on to capture Jerusalem later that year. The fall of Jerusalem was a catastrophe for the Crusaders and marked the beginning of the end of their presence in the Holy Land. Despite his short and tragic life, Baldwin IV left a lasting legacy. He was a king who defied the odds, leading his kingdom through some of its darkest days while suffering from one of the most feared diseases of his time. Baldwin's ability to inspire loyalty and courage in his followers, even as his body failed him, has made him a symbol of resilience and determination. In later centuries, Baldwin IV became a subject of fascination for historians and novelists. He has been depicted in books, plays, and films, including the 2005 film Kingdom of Heaven, where he was portrayed as a heroic, albeit tragic, figure. Hope you people liked the video. Like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks.